Yeah. So hello everyone. Good morning and good evening. Okay. So last class we have started about Node.js. Okay. So let me load the project. This is not that one. One second. Um, Angular evening server side. Okay. Let's copy this. Yeah. File open paste. Okay. Okay. Oh, not that one. Okay. So last class actually we were discussing about the core modules of Node.js, and we discussed the OS module, right? So now we'll discuss something called FS module. So how to read a file system data and all. So I'll do one thing. I create a separate folder for that. I just create new directory 03 hyphen Node.js hyphen core modules hyphen fs fs module, and this one I'll make a change, refactor rename. I'll just change that to OS. Okay, so that is for OS module and this for FS module. Okay, in this I create one JavaScript, that is app. Okay, fine. Now this here we're going to discuss one core module that is called FS module. So what is FS module is like a file system. Okay, so we can read a file, we can write a file, and we can create a new directory. So like multiple file operations you can do with the FS module of Node.js core module. So this is very helpful when you write some source code with Node.js server. Okay, so let's start with FS module now. Okay, so here before I start with the file system module, you need to understand something. In Node.js, if you take any module, core module, custom module, whatever, every module contains a collection of methods or collection of functions. Okay, like to read a file, to write a file, like multiple functions are there, and each function is of two types. Okay, so what are those two types means? One is synchronous functions and asynchronous functions. So you can write the logic in two ways. One is synchronous and asynchronous. Before I talk about file system module, we understand first what is synchronous, what is asynchronous. Synchronous means very simple. Suppose if you have some three, four tasks, like task number one, task number two, task number three, task number four. So I have four tasks, okay, or like four statements I have. Okay, so in the synchronous process, what happens is all the four statements cannot execute parallelly, okay, not simultaneously. So one will execute first, and once it is finished, two, once it is finished, three, once it is finished, four. So one after the other only it will execute. That's called synchronous. What is meant by asynchronous is all the statements get executed simultaneously. Okay, and also please remember, when you're writing a Node.js code, it must be always asynchronous code. Okay, so why you supposed to write asynchronous is, it's very important concept. Because why you want to write asynchronous code in Node.js is, for example, you have a server, Node.js server, and there are some four users are there. Okay, four users are accessing your Node.js server. Some application behind a Node.js server is there. Okay, so this Node.js server having some logic, right? So that logic is written in a synchronous way. I tell you how to write synchronous and asynchronous. Assume the Node.js server logic is written in a synchronous way. If it is written synchronous way, only one after the other request will be taken. Okay, now let's see the scene. There are four end users for my website, and that website is having this backend Node.js server with the synchronous code. Okay, if it is synchronous code, there's a huge performance drawback. Okay, there's a huge performance issue. Sir, what is that? Is first, user number one is logging to the system and he's fetching some data from the server. Okay, and in the meantime, I mean, your Node.js server is doing some process to fetch the data. In the meantime, the second user also log into the system and he also fetch data. So what happens is, until unless user one has received the data, this will not allow the second user to access the data. In meantime, another person called third user is also trying to access and he is also trying to fetch data. So if multiple users are coming and trying to access data from Node.js server, so if it is written a synchronous code, so what happens is it will makes the other users to wait until the first user request is finished. Okay, and then we'll take the second user request. If that is finished, third user request. Just imagine there's a Google website, right? Google search engine. There are some crores of people are logged into Google and they are doing a search. They won't let you to wait until the other person from some other world, I mean some other country, they're waiting for the response. Not like that. Okay, so if they keep asking you to wait for other people to do it, so you never log into system. So there's a huge performance drawback. Okay, so that's why we always prefer writing asynchronous code at server side. Okay, if you're writing asynchronous code, what happens is it won't let you wait for any of the user. If one user requested to fetch data, it will take care about that one. In the meantime, someone else is login, he's also fetching the same data or whatever the different data. It will also take his request, he will do that also simultaneously. Okay, so what is synchronous is the statements can be executed one after the other is called synchronous. Asynchronous means all the statements can be executed simultaneously or parallelly. Okay, so there is a provision we can write both the cases. You can write synchronous or asynchronous. I show you both the ways, but always remember, when actually you write a server side code, you always write asynchronous. And in JavaScript, how you
Hello,
achieve
Naveen.
the one second,
Sorry to
one,
disturb.
one, one, one second. In
Uh,
JavaScript, how you achieve the asynchronous code is using callbacks and using promises and also async wait. Okay, using these concepts of JavaScript, we can achieve the asynchronous. Even they made a functions in that way, like promises, callbacks, and async await. Okay, fine. Now we can ask question.
Async in Node.js, is it similar to multi-threading in core Java, or it
Hmm.
is
Yes,
different?
yes, correct. Same. Actually, JavaScript is single-threaded. We can make it multi-threaded by using these things. Okay. Yep. Fine. So let's start with file system module. We'll start sync and then async. Okay. So let's start with, okay, let me import the module. How to import the FS module. Some people call module, some people call library, some people call package, whatever, same name. Okay, so how you import? Just like OS, how you have done constant FS is equal to require FS. So FS core module. Fine. So once I load this, let me talk about the synchronous way. Synchronous way. So what I do first, I just show you two functions. Mostly I'll focus on. One is to read operation and write operation. So I want to read the file content and I want to write to some other file. Let's create a new file also with this. Okay, so writing or creating a new file is same. Okay, okay. I'll do one thing. I will create a normal file. I just create a file called some data.txt. Okay, one text file I created. Okay, in this file I'll just keep some data. For example, let me go to Google. Let me search for javascript Wikipedia. Okay, let's keep some data inside. Okay, let's copy something. Okay, this is my data. Let me go here. Here I have a data. This data is a huge. Okay, so I have data.txt which contains some data. Fine. So what is my plan is, by using this fs module, I want to read this file content and display in this program. So how you do that is, there are some functions available in the fs module, both the ways, sync and async. Let's talk about sync. To read file, so you can just write like this, let and even if you want to understand the file name and the syntax of it, you can go log into the node.js. Just go to node.js official documentation, then you understand. um, One second, just say node.js. Okay, so okay, someone asked what. Okay, so how to achieve asynchronous in Angular? There is something called subscriptions, no, and Angular subscriptions. So that way it will make asynchronous. Okay, yeah, if you go to docs, API documentation, in this you can search for file system module. In the file system, you can find a lot of functions. In that, you can search for a one function that is called read file. Yeah, these two, read sync. I think not this one. Read file sync will be there. Read file sync. Where is that? Read file, somewhere it will be there. Okay, read. It's not there. Okay, so we have both now. Read file sync. Let me show you this one. Read file sync. Yeah, fs dot read file sync is a synchronous function. By naming, it says it is synchronous function. So no callbacks is involved. So inside you can pass the path and some options. What is the path is? The path is the file name or the file descriptor, the name of the file from where you want to read the data, and the options. You can make some encoding options of a string, regular UTF-8 encoding option, and some file system flags you can write. Okay, and how they read data is like this: fs dot read file sync. Just provide the directory, you get it. Directory you must not provide. You just provide actually um, the file path actually. Okay, I show you how to read this data using this function. So I do here. Let Okay, I say fs dot read file sync. Read file sync. I need to provide the path. Path is what is the location of the file, that is dot slash data dot txt. That is a path because both are in the same location, same folder. You can give that folder name like that. Okay, and also there are some options you can provide. The default option for encoding option, there is something called UTF-8. The English language characters encoding is UTF-8. Mostly we write this UTF-8 in HTML. Okay, fine. So this is option you provide, and this function returns the content of this file, so that you can store with a variable. Let's file content is equal to like this, and path and options I have not given is coming automatically by WebStorm. Okay, so I received the file content, and let me do a console.log of file content. So let's see what is the file content which is coming from this data.txt, which contains two paragraphs. Let's see what is that. So let me right click on this. Okay. And every time I don't want to open my local terminal, because if you open terminal, no, I show you. If you open terminal, you can't see the full code. It's very small window, right? We can't really see the full code. That's why I prefer mostly outside terminal, outside command prompt. You can do that here also, but I don't prefer doing it by myself because I can't see the complete source code. So so what I do, I'll do one thing. Right click on this, show in Explorer. It opens the folder location. Yeah, here it is, my data.txt app.js. Let me copy this address and go to command prompt. Okay, cd space paste, enter, D drive. Okay, so if you wish, you can do this because I do Windows commands to switch between the folders. If you wish, you can just right click, open terminal and do it. Okay, yeah, fine. And then how to run the program, node space app.js, enter. See, you got the complete file content. Okay, so two paragraphs has received here. Fine, that's how you read the file data using synchronous way. And I'll do one thing. Once I read this data, and this data I want to write to some other file. It means I want to create my own file which contains my data. So how you do that? That's called write file. So let's say how to write a file is, um, okay, you want to write the same file content or you can add some more thing also. I say it like this, new file content is equal to, I use a backtick. So this describes about JavaScript, okay, and some arrow, something. I just write the file content also. So what I'm doing is already file content is two paragraphs, no? Along with that, I'm adding some extra content before that. For example, here alongside is started now. Before that, I add this extra content. You can add same data also, but I'm just adding some new data to that. Okay. Now I got a new file content. So this file content, I want to create a new file and write to that and using that to synchronous way. So how you do is fs dot write file sync, give the path of the file, I mean name of the file. I say dot slash some message dot txt, and also the encoding, that is you, no options last, I hope. Data means what is the content you want to add to the file. That is my new file content, that's my data. And also utf-8, the default encoding options. Done. So this function is going to write or is going to create if this file is already there, is going to write to the file. If this file is not exist, is going to create a new file. Okay, and so please check, there is no file called message.txt in my this folder location. So it's going to create a new file called message.txt and which contains then this file content. Okay, so let me run this program. It does not going to return anything. Okay, just call just like that, just call a function name and this one. Okay, let me run the program, or else I'll do a console log for confirmation. Console.log of data is written to a file. Okay, fine. Let me run the program. Go back here, CLS. I run the program. This is the previous content reading, and this is writing. So data is written to a file. So now let's check. Did we get the message.txt got created or not? Let me go to the project. Yeah, see, you got a new file, message.txt just now created, 1824 just now. Okay, and you can check that. See, extra content added. This describes about JavaScript and then alongside as there. Okay, so these two functions are very useful to read and write to a file. But this is hardly synchronous code. Let's see same story how you do in a asynchronous way. Asynchronous way, how you do. Let's say asynchronous way for read and write operations. Read and write operations. Okay, so what my plan is, um, let me comment out this story. Okay, we already seen that. Let's start with this one. Okay, what's my plan is, again I want to read this data.txt using asynchronous. How to do that asynchronous is, um, so here we receive the file content as a value, but it's not like that. We have a callback functions. For example, if you see the actual, where is that? Okay, if you can see the real function, yeah, this is the function. This is read file no sync keyword. So no sync word means it is asynchronous word. So extra what? Path, options, and one callback function. Okay. So whenever this reading is successful, then it calls the callback function. In that callback function, you receive the data. Okay, and path is the file path, options will be the encoding options, and callback. So this callback is a function, so is a function which receives two parameters. One is error and data. Error indicates if you have any problem while reading this data, if your file name is wrong and something, you'll get the error, and this data contains actual file content of it. Okay, using callbacks. So let's do this file call, just let's like this one, they have given a example as well. Let's do that part. Okay, I want to read the file content from this data.txt using asynchronous. So I say fs dot read file, no sync, just read file. Path path is dot slash data dot txt, and also the um, encoding option utf-8, and also one callback. You can just make an arrow function. Yeah, this is a callback function. So this callback function contains two parameters. One is the error and the data, because as per their information they give an error and error first, data next. Okay, so I write here, if there is any error, just throw the error. Okay, if it find difficulty in reading or any problem with reading the file, you get the error, and if it is successful, you get data. So I'll just say console.log of data. I'll say console.log of this data. So let's check now. Go to terminal. I just run the program. See, I got the file content. Okay, so this one. So this is using asynchronous. I also do one more thing. Once I receive this data, and this data I want to write to some other file. Yes, art callback has generate automatic. Yes, correct. This is come automatic, options come automatic, path come automatic, path colon. Okay, it just indicates that this parameter belongs to what is the name of the existing functions parameter. Okay, fine. So I received the data because we have seen that, and this data I want to write to some other file using asynchronous. How you do is there is a function called write file. Okay, so I just create not this message and data. Let's create something called um, okay, some notes.txt. I create a new file called notes.txt. So what you do is fs dot write file, not sync, just write file. You have to give the path of the file dot slash notes.txt, and options. No, not option, first data. What is data? Data is data as it is. Whatever data you receive, you will assign. If you want to change it, you can make it data is equal to something you add, and you can do it. So data, and then I think UTF-8 is required, and also one callback. Okay, here, see the data which you have read from the file, this file, I got this, that data I'm adding to another function, fs.write file. Okay, and that creates this file with my data. And in this callback, you will have, I think, what will be there? Only error will be there. Okay, if any error, just throw the error, and you can make a confirmation console.log of data. Data is written to a file. Okay, so I'm not printing data, I'm just assigning data to this, and only this console.log is gonna execute it. So let's check. Go back here. I run the program. I got data written to a file. So let's check what is the file codes to create notes.txt. Now go back. See, I got notes.txt. Is the current time 6:30. Yeah, when I open this, same data. Okay, so this is how you will read and write to a file. And also, what is the difference between this one and this one is this is simultaneous, asynchronous. For example, after this line, I write some other console log, console.log of fs. So file system example. See here, observe very closely. When you talk about this synchronous way, first console.log, second console.log. So whatever happened, first this will execute and then this will execute. So one after the other is going to execute in a synchronous way. Okay, in asynchronous way, what happens is, see here, this is asynchronous code, right? So what happened? First, I write this console log. If you take about line numbers, this is the first console log, and this is the second console log. But if it is asynchronous, see what happened. What comes first? Actually, this comes first. This comes next. See once. Go back here. Run the program. See, file system example first, and then data return to file is next. So what happens is when Node.js is encountered this program, so it is going to check read file. So once the read file is taken as asynchronous code, what happens is one process is allocated to do this data, and one process is allocated to this data. So both will be doing simultaneously. But here you need to read a file and write to some other file. It takes time. So meanwhile, it has executed this one. So both has done parallelly. So this is very, very important when you deal with Node.js, and that too you really understand the benefit of this approach when you start Node.js server. Okay, so when I start Node.js server, then I tell you how to use the asynchronous words and all. Okay, so as of now, this is about asynchronous way of doing it. And one more thing, very, very important is we are generally used to create a JSON files. Okay, it means because how to create a JSON file is very important. Okay, because we may have an array, and that array I want to write to a JSON file, local JSON file I want to write. So how you do that? Using again same file system module only. Okay, read and write operations only. But how you gonna do is, I tell you. First, let me take some data and then I'll write to not text file. See, till now we use only text file. Na? Let's create some JSON file with content. Okay, so for example, I'll take an array with JSON
What it
files.
does in case of error?
In case of error, it just you get the error in the console log if you have some problem with data. So suppose I give the some different name, something called data. This file is not exist, right? If not exist, it cannot read the file, right? So yeah, good question. Let me run the program. You get the error stating that no such file or directory because this file is something wrong. Okay, so this is the if any
So
error throws error, no? So this statement.
throw error, just printing that error to console.
It's not printing, it is just throwing it. Just pushing the error and stop the entire process, no?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can we
Printing
catch
means
that error
yeah.
in exception handling using exceptions? Can we catch that error?
Can we catch that error? Actually, it is a callback, no? So callback, you receive the property just like that. So you can just print it. If there is something like async await syntax or promises that we can do with try catch. I talk about that promises and async await once you come with the next concepts. But callback, you can't write try catch because we receive the property as it is. So we can just print it. Generally, when you talk about Axios, right? So Axios dot get here you have dot then and then dot catch. So this is like a promise. You receive the successful response and unsuccessful response for two different functions. So what you do is instead of doing this try catch, I mean instead of doing this then and catch, you will write await wait for this, and this you keep in try block, and the error comes into the catch block.
Catch block.
Okay, so I talk about this once you start with I think database and also that database mostly we use this process only await async await syntax. Okay, so now let me take one array and how to create a JSON file using file system module we'll see. Okay, so where we get the array? Okay, I do one thing. In the basics we have taken one array now. Basics, yeah, employees array. Let me take this employees array. I keep that here. I have yeah employees array. Okay, so this employees array I want to write to a JSON file. So how to write using asynchronous fs dot write file write file. In this, what is the file name you want to write? I say employees dot employees dot JSON file. Okay, in a same root location, employees.json file, comma, what is the file content? That is my local employees, and then you have let's take UTF-8. That's the default options and the callback. So this callback receives only error because while writing you have only one parameter error. While reading, two things, error and data, because that contains actual file content. Okay, so here if any error while doing it just throws the error, and then let's make a console.log for confirmation. Console.log of data is written to a JSON file. Okay, so there is a rule actually while writing to JSON, because this is plain JavaScript object. I think you know some differences between JSON and JSON object and JavaScript object. See, a JavaScript object is like this. I talk about this. JavaScript object is in JavaScript. Go to JavaScript. Yeah. So this is JavaScript object. Okay. JavaScript object means what? Property, just like that you write, you never mention codes or something for the properties. Values, if it is a number like this, and if it is string, you can use single quotes or double quotes like that. This is plain JavaScript object. But same story, if it is a JSON object, small difference is there between JavaScript object and JSON object. So JSON object will be, they never mention the property just like that. Even properties also will be quoted, and that too, no single quotes are allowed in JSON. Only double quotes are allowed in JSON. For example, if you want to validate this, let me do one thing. Let me copy this. You can validate is it JSON or not. You can validate online. For example, validate JSON online. Okay, there's a website called JSONlint.com. So you can just paste this code. This code you paste it. It's not a JSON object. It's just JavaScript object. How you verify is just paste it, and then validate. See, you got a lot of errors. Okay, so what's the problem is, I tell you. Actually, JSON object contains every property should be quoted, and that too no single quotes uses, all double quotes only. Even string also you must have to use double quotes. This is JSON. This one and this one. Okay, so number you can leave like that, and boolean also you can leave that like that. But wherever string is there, it must be double quotes. So this is the difference between, this is the plain JavaScript object, this is JSON object. If you want to verify, just copy this one and then go paste it and then click on validate. It's now valid JSON. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so this is completely different. This is JSON object. So what is the plan happened here is, see, employees, these are all just normal objects, JavaScript objects. So these objects I am assigning directly to the JSON. Let me run the program. Let's see how it works, and then I'll explain what is the process you have to follow while writing to JSON. Okay, I just kept employees as it is here, and let me save it and see what happens. And also make sure there is no employees.json, no employees.json. Okay, let me run the program back. CLS node space app.js, enter. No such file. Oh, I have not removed it. Okay, this is data.txt. Okay, yeah, data returned to a JSON file. See, asynchronous, you got jumbled. That's fine. That only Node.js will take care about it. Fine. And now check. See, I got employees.json file created, JSON file with some different logo. But when I open that, what is there? Object, 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 object. This is not a proper JSON because JSON does not contains anything. Only just object, object has come. Okay, sir, what is the problem here? The problem is, I tell you, if I take a paint, generally JSON file, right? Assume this is your JSON file. Okay, so this JSON file only contains the data in a string format. The complete JSON file contains data in a string format. Complete data, objects and everything in a string format. So what is I have is I have an array. I have an array which contains a multiple objects. Object number one, object number two, object number three, like that. So these objects I want to store into the JSON file. So how you store into JSON file is object as it is. You can't store into JSON. Actually, we are doing this that one only. Actually, we were doing. See here, we are putting that array. The array is also one object, right? The whole array you are putting into JSON. If you put like this, you get this type of result. Okay, sir, then what to do? I want to see the data really here. Okay, the whole array I want to see here in a JSON format. How is simple logic? Um, let me take something. Yeah. So if you are storing an object or array, if it is array or object, JavaScript object, you are storing into JSON file, it must be converted to string. Okay, it means object must be converted to string. I think you know about this process, right? How to convert object to string format. How to convert? Using the function called json.stringify. json.stringify, and you have to provide that object. It can be array or it can be object. You can just provide like this, json.stringify. So if you call in this format json.stringify, so then this object will be stored in a string format in a JSON. And even when you're reading it also, when you are reading back from this file, you have to convert the string back to object. You have to convert the string to object. So how to convert string to object is again string to object. How to convert string to object is you have to say json dot parse, json dot parse of string. It will give you an object. Okay, so this steps you have to follow when you're dealing with JSON files. Okay, so let me do the same process now. I delete this file because this not does not contain a proper data. Let me delete this employees.json, delete, do refactor, done. It's gone. Okay. So what's supposed to do is very simple. Don't provide employees object as it is. Let's say JSON dot stringify of employees. That's it. So the string version of employees will be stored in JSON. So now let's save it, and I don't have any employees.json as of now. Let me run the program. CLS. I think I don't want to print it here. I wanna do it outside. Okay, back here, CLS, node space app.js, enter. See, data written to JSON file. Let's check. Now I got JSON file. See, now it contains the data, serial number, this thing, and all. I got it. Okay, so this is how you write. Simple. You want to add to the JSON, you need to convert to string and do it. While reading also, better you convert that to object. So why I'm telling that you need to convert to object, I tell you. See here. For example, this is read file, right? I want to, sorry, this is write file. I want to read from the JSON. How to read from JSON is fs dot read file, file name dot slash employees dot json. That's a file, and you can provide reading na utf-8 and one callback and one callback. So this receives error as well as data. Okay, if there is any error, just throw the error, and also let me print the data. So console.log of data. So let's see what is the data comes from the JSON. When you read something from JSON, JSON contains string. You receive string only, not the whole object. You will receive string only. Let's see what is the difference between string and object. You receive string. So let's see how it is data. Go back here. I run the program. See, you get the string. It's not an object. See, complete white color. This is string. See, and also see serial number double quotes, name double quotes, age double quotes, designation double quotes, like that. All double quotes. And numbers will not be, and boolean also will not be. Okay, this is complete string. If it is a stringer, you can't able to fetch the data. I want to get serial number. How you fetch? So stringer dot index of it's very complex to fetch data. Okay, so you must have to convert this to object to format while reading from JSON. So how to convert to object format is this data is in a stringer. So I say employees let employees is equal to JSON dot parse. So while reading, you must have to parse data. So once you parse it, it will receive a proper object of JavaScript. If it is an array, you get array. If it is object, you get the object. Fine. So now let's check if I parse the data, what happens. So this is stringer. This white color, everything stringer. But object will be like this. Run the program. See, you got the real object now. So you can read dot serial number, dot age, like that. You can call it. Okay. Fine. So this is about JSON story. While writing to JSON, convert to stringer. While reading from JSON, convert to object. So using the functions of regular JavaScript, is nothing about Node. It is JavaScript only. JavaScript object JSON.stringify, JSON.parse. JSON is a global object of JavaScript. Fine. That's about file system. Okay. One more thing is till now we have seen only in the local file, right? Because all the files are in a same location, right? Both are in the same folder. You can read and write. Now let's see, because in future in real time you may have data in some different folder. You need to write the data to some different folder. So how can you tackle that one folder to another folder, and how can you make the path? Okay, so to mention the dynamic path, we have another module in Node.js that is called path module. Okay, using this path module, we can construct the dynamic path for any nested folders. Okay, so now let's understand how to give the path for the nested folders using path module. This is again this is again a core module of Node.js. So let's start with that process. Let me close all this. Okay, and let's create a new folder 04 hyphen node.js hyphen core modules hyphen path. Okay, in this I create one JavaScript app.js. Okay, so for example, yeah, I have one folder called admin folder. In that admin folder, I have another directory users folder, users users folder. In that users folder, I have one JSON file. Let me do one thing. Let me grab that rjson employees.json. I paste in this stating as users.json. Okay, see here, I don't have this file directly along with app.js. It is in the admin folder, users folder, users.json. So I need to read that file. I need to read that file in my app.js. So generally how you do, so constant fs equal to require fs. You write like this, and then how you read fs dot read file. You have to give the path. Generally, how you give the path? How you give the path is it is in admin folder. So dot slash admin folder slash you give users slash and you give users again users dot json. This is the path, right? And also the I think what utf8 and one callback. Okay, this is how you give the path. This given the path. Okay, and this error data. So I'll just write if any error, just throw the error. Let's do the console.log of data. You can convert to data in a JSON format or just like data JSON dot parse JSON dot parse of data. Okay, you can do to separate. You can store to separate variable, but I just write as it is in a console log. So let's see how you read this data, and then I tell you easiest way instead of doing this much using path module. Okay, so let me go to here cls I go to the cd space dot dot cd space 04 tab because I should be in the node modules path folder. Okay, you can just do right click and open terminal. It opens exactly this location. Okay, and just say node space app.js, enter. See, you got a complete file content, Raj and Wilson, John and Mahesh file content. But the thing is, you never mention slashes like this because I tell you, a small difference is there here. What is that? You understand now. See, here we given the path like this: slash admin slash user slash. Generally, uh, I mean, which operating system you give this type of slashes is Windows. In Windows, you will mention this type of slashes. If it is a Linux or Mac, you will give this type of slashes: admin slash users dot json. This way. Okay, this can be Mac or Linux. Okay, so this path's also different. Okay, in Windows you mention this path, and Mac you mention this path. So there is a, you know, consequences because we never know this Node.js application, we never know I'm going to install or I'm going to deploy on the Windows machine or I'm going to deploy on the Mac or Linux machine in future. Okay, so if you hard code this type of slashes, it leads to errors. Okay, it leads to errors if you place here, and if you give this slashes, if you post here, it leads to errors. Okay, so instead we use the most useful module called path module. What this path module will do is this will construct the path automatically without even mentioning the slashes, depending on the operating system. If you run the program in Windows, it construct like this. If you're running on Mac, it construct like this. That is the benefit of path module. Okay, so let's understand now what is the path module, how it constructed. Okay, before you understand the path module, uh, there are two global variables available in Node.js. One is underscore underscore directory name underscore underscore file name. So these two are the global variables of Node.js. So what is underscore underscore directory name means the current directory location. Okay, the complete directory location you get using this global variable, and this is the current file location with the file name. Current file location with the file name. Actually, we use these two variables to construct the path using path module. Okay, so let's see first of all what exactly this directory name and what is this that file name. Global variable, no module required. You can just print console.log of this variable directly. So I show you what is that. For example, I want to access the current directory folder, the current directory path. How you do? Just generally what you do, right click on this, open Explorer, come on, open Explorer. This is the path, right? This is the path. So this path can be achieved automatically by the directory name, D drive workspace, everything will come up to this folder location using directory name. So let's say, let me comment this as of now. I just say here, I say directory name uh, console.log of no module underscore underscore directory name. It's a core from node. Let's see, you get the path of this folder location. Okay, let me run the program. See, you get the path. This is D drive workspace 2020 server side node up to path, up to the folder location. This folder location has come over there. And also there is one more underscore underscore file name. So along with directory, file name also will come. It means app.js extra will come along with this. Okay, let's see. You got both here up to path, here path slash app.js also. File name, current file name. Okay, by using these variables, we will construct the path automatically using path module. Okay, so how you do that thing is here constant path is equal to, let me have a path module, that's a core module. So same core module, how I modify this is, instead of hard coding the values like this, you will use path path, that's this path variable dot. There's a function called join. Mostly we use this join function. Okay. How you give the path, like a slash admin slash something? We have a path, no? Dot slash admin folder slash users folder slash users dot json. This is the path. So how you give the path is here. I start with underscore underscore directory name. I mean the directory name is what? Up to this folder. This folder. Okay. Inside you have admin users this file. So what you do is join them with comma admin folder comma users folder comma file name users.json like this. So you never mention the slashes. This will get automatically constructed by path. Okay. If you run this program in Windows, it constructs slashes, Windows slashes. If you run in the Mac, it constructs Mac specific paths. If you want to know that, do one thing. Let me just copy this line. Let's see, is it really getting the path or not? So let's say console dot log of. Let's print the path. See how it is. Let me comment this as of now. Let's see, is it really construct the path? Okay. Directory name means my this one, the admin users JSON. So it construct using Windows format because my system is Windows. Okay, run the program. I got the path. These two previous directory and the file name. See now you get here admin folder, users folder, users.json. So this is the path got constructed. Okay, so this path I use dynamically here. So what I do is let me uncomment. So we never mention the slashes. We just mention only folder names in a proper direction. Admin inside users inside this one. That's that way. We start from global to that local file one by one. Okay, so now let's say, did we get the data or not using the path module? So go back here, CLS, run the program. See, you got data. No issue, you got data. This is how generally we will construct, but we never hard code the values, never hard code the paths. Okay, so we use path module for that to make the path of the file. Okay, fine. So now next, what is my plan is I got in the console log, but this data I don't want in the console.log. I want to keep that data in some other folder, some other file. Sir, how? I create uh, another folder, something called um, admin user, normal user. Okay, no. Um, admin user. Okay, let's say data folder. Okay, some data folder. In that data folder, I create another folder called employees. In that, I want to create JSON file. Okay, so I'm reading from admin folder, users folder, this file. I want to write to data folder, employees folder, employees.json. Okay, so how you mention the path is this data. I can just do one thing. I just say let employees is equal to json.parse of data. You get the employees, right? You have done the what you have done with conversion. Okay, these employees I want to add to some other folder. So how you do? Write file fs dot write to file, just give the path. So path generally given by the path module. So path dot join underscore underscore data name comma which folder, data folder, in that employees folder, and that and what is the file name, employees dot json I want to create, comma you I think data first, data what, employees, and that directly employees you can't provide because it's a JSON file. So JSON dot stringify of employees, you have to convert to string and do it. Okay, and after that, where is that? This comma, this one. Yeah, after that, comma UTF-8, and also one callback. Okay, in this callback, you have error. Okay, so if any error, just throw the error, and let's do a confirmation console.log console.log of error. Okay, fine. So let's see, is it going to create another file called employees.json in the employees folder? Let's see. Go save it, go back here, run the program. Error. No such file. Which file? App.js line number 14. Line number 14 error. Why? Data folder, employees folder. Correct? No. Data folder, employees folder.
Check the parentheses of join.
Mm-hmm.
Parenthesis, second
Yes,
parenthesis of
yes,
join.
yes. Correct, correct, correct. Okay, I think now it's correct. Then some problem is there in JSON dot. Yeah, I made it somewhere else. Okay, super. Yeah, it's correct now. Let's check. Okay, null. What null? Console.log of error, not error. Let's make the proper confirmation. Anyway, no error, no. That's why it's got null. That's fine, but let's check what is created. Where is that? Employees, yeah, employees.json which contain data. Right. This is just a confirmation. You can make console.log whatever you want. Data is written to a file. Okay, this confirmation message. Already data is there. If you want to check one more time, let me delete this. Employees.json delete do refactor. Yeah, it's not there. Nothing is there. Go back, run the program. Data return to file. Go check. In this we have JSON contain data. That's fine. So this is about path module, just to construct dynamic path using the join function. Okay. So that's about mostly core module. That's fine. We don't need to discuss all the modules. That is out of scope. Yeah. Next, we understand something called custom module. What is custom modules? What is custom modules means? For example, see here. Till now, I think you have observed something. What is that is? In my app.js, see till now I write only one app.js, only one JS file. So there only I create a function, there only I printed, right? See, where whatever example you see till now, I write only one file, that is app.js. Okay. What is this custom module says is, because generally in real time you never write the whole application logic, the complete server side logic in one JS file, right? You will create a multiple JS files for every specific scenario. We create a multiple JS files, and one function in one JS file, one function in some other JS file, but I want to call that JS file function from this file. Okay, it's just like modules concept in JavaScript. Okay, let's see how the module concept of JavaScript works in Node. That is called custom modules. Generally, what we do in I think you have seen the modules concept in modules concept, right? In JavaScript, we'll write import and export statements, import export statement we use. Okay, if you want to know more about this modules concept of JavaScript, I think at the end of my JavaScript videos I have explained the same story. Let's see in Node.js how to perform. For example, if you go to the playlist in that JavaScript, yeah, in this you can see that now. If you want to know promises, callbacks is also there. Mm, see SMS app, same SMS app we have done in Angular, no, that one. Digital watch also JavaScript Angular also we see. Okay, so this is form validation. What is I want to take? ES6 features also there. Subclasses, see classes, subclasses. Just read about. Callback is there. Okay, what is my search? Async await also there. Something is missing. What was I talking about? Modules, huh? Modules, somewhere it will be there. Object oriented, optional parameter. I think somewhere after that, arrow function for offspread to object oriented subclass, asynchronous callback, real time use of callback. Oh, not there. I think somewhere it will be there. I heard, I thought I have, I teach it, but don't know. I have to look for some other some video. It will be there. Okay, so what is the modules concept in JavaScript is you will write a function. Generally, we write one JavaScript, right? We write a function there only. We call the function also there only. That happily works. That's not a problem. But what is module concept is you will dispatch the multiple modules. You have I mean, you have multiple JavaScript files with each function, and I'm going to call one function of JavaScript from another function of JavaScript file. Okay, so how you do is we use the statements called import and export in JavaScript. Here we have a different process. Import we use require keyword. Export we use export only is a little different. I show you. For example, let me create a separate folder, new directory. This is 05 hyphen node.js hyphen custom modules. Okay, so here I will create one JavaScript app.js. Okay, so in app.js, I create one function. So let's greet, let greet is equal to one arrow function. Okay, so this returns a message called good morning. Simple function. So generally what we do, we call like this. Okay, we have a function here. We call the function also here. Obviously you get the result. Let me check once. Back to cd space dot dot cd space 05 tab. You do right click and open terminal, same location. So node space app.js, no data. Oh, return statement. Now you have to catch it. Okay, okay. No console.log, right? Let's message is equal to this one. I do console.log of message. Okay, because it didn't something, no, you have to catch it, the variable, and print it. Okay, so go back. I got good morning. So no surprise in this example because we have both here only. Okay, surprising thing is, sir, I take out this function to some other file. I want to call that. How is possible? Let's see. I create a separate folder, something called util folder. In the util folder, I create another JavaScript file. Okay, or else I can create some other folder. In the util, I'll say um, let's say greetings folder. In that I create one JavaScript file, something called um, any function name, mm, message.txt, message.js, something. So what I do is I take out this function, I keep in that here. So I have two JavaScript files. One is app.js here and message.js here. Okay, so I have to call this greet function from my app.js. Okay, so let's see how it works. You need to write a module concept. Can you change the theme of WebStorm to white? It's more visible to us. White, why man? White I never prefer in night time. White I don't like. Maybe you are using white, it seems. One second, I show you. If we switch to white, it's not looks good. Color scheme. Where is that? Editor, color scheme. If I change to default, see, I personally I don't like this. Okay. Anyway, laptop only, na. You are not watching the screen from a long distance, right? Are you watching my code in TV or what? Okay. So I make it dark theme. This is nice. Okay, so yeah, what's the plan? Simple, very, very simple. I have function here, I want to call from here. How is possible? Function is not exist here. Obviously, you get the error. Just run the program, you get the error. Because it says greet is not defined. Of course, greet is not defined here. It is there some other folder. So how to get that back? How to get that is two steps you have to follow. You need to export this function from this file. You need to import that function here. In this file, you need to export so that this function is available for everyone. And here you have to import it. How to export here is generally JavaScript use export statement. Um, in Node.js, how we export is there is one global object module node.js global object dot exports is equal to one object. In that you mention the greet like this. Okay, so if you want to make this function available for any other JavaScript file, okay, you must have to export it. Okay, once it is exported, I want to import it here. How you import? Generally, how you import OS module? You say OS module. How you import? Constant OS is equal to require OS, just like that, right? Same way, how you import custom module? Custom module, how we import is not OS dot slash OS. Any name starts with dot slash or dot slash, that is custom module. Okay, so I tell you how to do is constant something util is equal to require dot slash util folder slash greetings folder slash message.js or just a message, because hardly Node.js contains all JavaScript files like that. This is how you import that statement here. Okay, once that is done, you can call it. How you call os dot something you function you call it now, just like that util dot greet. That's it. Okay, and always remember for core modules and third-party module, we load as it is. Only for custom module, we use dot slash or dot slash. Any name starts with dot slash or dot slash, that is the custom module. Okay, if we don't mention, that is a core module. Okay, because why they given that type of provision is, who knows if you create this util folder, instead of util folder, I create this name as OS folder. Okay, then there's a little confusion. Is it is it node module OS folder or custom module OS folder? That's why they given start with dot slash custom module, our own uh, program, without anything is node.js core. Okay, anyway, I'm not using core. Okay, fine. So util dot, see here you get util dot secret function available. That's it. You can just do it like this and run the program now. See, you get the message, good morning. Okay, I made a mistake here, CLS, and the message, see, you got good morning that way. So whatever the file you have, you can just need to export it and then call it. Fine. I just tell you something more deeper inside of it. What is that is, I create a separate another folder. What folder? I create some other admin folder. In the admin folder, I have another folder called, okay, I create another JavaScript file, new JavaScript, something data operations .js. Okay, so what this contains is one or more function. Uh, what operation you do? You are getting a string now. Okay, I say reverse string function. Okay, reverse string is equal to one function. So whatever the string you pass, it will returns a reverse of it. Okay, so let me write something called temporary string, basic statements like for loop, let I equal to str dot length minus one, correct, no, last index, I greater than or equal to 0 up to 0, and then I minus minus. So let's say temp plus is equal to, I use the backtick, dollar str dot caret of I. Okay, and then it returns temp. Okay, this is simple reverse string function. Whatever the string you pass, it will give you a reverse of it. Okay, so now what I do, I will export because I need to call this from my app. This is the main file. So how you do module dot exports is equal to one object inside what is the function name reverse string. That's it. Okay, you have export. If you don't export, it is not available for anybody, even though they import it. Okay, so you must have to export because public access. Okay, if you don't export it, it is like a private access. Only in this file you can access. You want to access that outside, must be exported. Okay, fine. I have created, I have exported, I have to use that. Where I use it here. So I'll say constant. I want to get that file name. How to do something data operations or why that much bigger name? I'll say OPR. Okay, just say operations is equal to require what is that folder dot slash admin folder slash data operations dot js or just data operations. Fine. So now you say I say operations dot is a function called reverse string. Okay, so I want to call that and I want to assign some value. I do one thing, let reverse string is equal to operations dot custom module. Okay, dot reverse string. I'm going to provide the message. See, I just link between these two calls. I receive the greet from here. I receive good morning. That good morning I pass to this function of this module. I receive something else. Let's see what is that. I say console.log of reverse string. Actually, we can write both the functions in same file, but I'm just showing the demonstration how it works. Yeah, let's see the reverse string. How you get from this function you receive good morning that I am passing to this function that will give a reverse of good morning that will concern the console log. Go check. You get reverse of good morning. Fine. One more thing is here we just only use it. We only use core custom module, right? Let's use one core module also because we learn core module, right? Like FS module and all we discuss, right? So can we use the core module, FS module? Using that, I don't want to print console.log. I want to store this data in some file. You want to store this in file, what you do? You import FS module and you write the logic. Even I don't want to write logic here. Some other function contain that logic. You just call the function that will take care about it. Interesting, no? What I do is for file operations, I do one thing. I say this is some other name, okay? Admin, I take this name as admin dot reverse string. Okay, so file operation, I'll take some other file. I'll take new directory, something called operations folder. In that I have one more JavaScript file called something called file operations. Okay, so this file, what it does is it's got one more function. Let's write to file one function. Okay, so what this function does is you just need to mention the file name. You just need to mention the file name and what is your data of the content. So this file, this function will take care about writing the given data to the given file. Okay, that's a plan. So let me export this module dot exports is equal to an object write to well, my own function. Okay, so if you want to write to a file, you need to have what fs module. Let's say that constant fs is equal to require a core fs module and also constant path is equal to require path module. Okay, fine. I have both, so I use that logic now. So fs dot write file. In this, I need to provide what? Just say path dot join underscore underscore item name, and just give the path of the file name. Just give the file name, comma UTF-8. Okay, and then you have to give data first. Data is as it is data, and also one callback. Okay, because write file. So you get the error here. Let's say if any error, just throw the error, and let's make console.log for confirmation. Console.log of data is written to a file. Okay, so this function will take care about, see, is write file is write to file, my own function. So you just give the file name and data, it will take care about it. Okay, so what I do, I want to call it from my main file. What I do, I'll say constant file operations is equal to require dot slash operations folder slash file operations.js. You can just give any name. Okay, abcd also you can give. Okay, let's say file opr. Okay, so what I do, this reverse string I want to write to one file. That file name is something called message.txt. So what I do, file opr dot write to file name message.txt, comma, what is your data? Data is my reverse string. That's it. So no console. Please mute it. Okay, fine. I got reverse string. I'm writing to this file called message.txt. So let's no console.log. Only this function will have console.log. So now we'll understand. And we don't have even message.txt anywhere. Let's see. So go back here, run the program. You got data written to file. Let's check. Where is that? See in the, I think in file operations message.txt, you got data. Good morning reverse string. Okay, so this is the demonstration of how can you call a different JavaScript files and how to load them, how to export them, and how to call them. Okay, and all are interlinked in this example. Okay, you call util, you got admin, you call file operation like that. Because in real example of Node.js server, you have to deal with multiple modules. Like the inside, some third-party modules also will come. Okay, we just seen till now just core module and the custom module concept. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about custom module. Let's talk about something else now, that is called third-party modules. Third-party modules. What is third-party module is, see here. See, I want to do file operation. For example, I want to create a Node.js server. That server deal with multiple operations, right? Some kind of user validation and everything. Till now we have not even start the server. We'll talk about the server once we finish the third-party module concept, because we need to know first how to write a program in Node.js, then we'll create a server. Fine. Before that, see here, we have core modules in Node.js, right? Core module means what? FS module is there for file operations. HTTP module is there for creating server. We'll see why creating server HTTP. OS module is there for operation system database, like that. So these are like very basic modules, how to write a basic program in Node.js, right? I want to do some more functionality, like I want to do reverse string. I want to uh, get the length of a string or conversion to uppercase, lowercase, some basic features I want to do myself. I have custom modules also there. Custom module means what? I will write my own logic, custom module. So basic feature I'll write by myself. That's not a problem. But there may be some other features will be there, something more advanced features. What is that is, suppose my client will give you password, because why, in the process of login system or registration, my client will be providing the password. What my Node.js has to do is, Node.js will take the form data called password, username, and all from client. It has to store in a database, because database obviously connected to Node.js server. So What Node.js has to do is it has to store the password. Suppose my password something called Rajan 8123 is there. This is a password. So this password is going to store to database. So before storing to database, what I say is you never ever store the plain password to database. If you store the password as it is to database, what happen? Your database administrator will become the hero, because once he log into users table, so he can see everybody's username and password. He can log in and he can just collapse the system also. Entire software he can collapse. Okay, and the remark come to the person who has this guy, because this guy will log in with that credentials. No, fine. So a lot of data breach will happen in the system. Okay, so what is the thing they follow in real time is they never store the plain password as it is in the database. What they do is they do encryption. They will encode the password and they store into database. And while retrieving back, they will decode the password. So encode the password, decode the password. To encode and decode, they use certain algorithms inside, right? So as a Node.js developer, they have not given any package or any module from Node.js to do this step. Okay, if they are not done, sir, can we start our own logic, custom module? Of course, you're right. But thing is, your main goal is different. You have to create a logic for your customer experience. I mean, your client requirement. But thing is, if you start creating the algorithm for this one, it's like it will take too much time. Okay, we don't need to create a complete algorithm. Okay, and then that cannot be the optimized algorithm in the world, right? So uh, like too many conditions will be there, so we can't write our own algorithm. And Node.js people also not given anything support for that, no library for that. Then what to do? Simple. And even there is something called JSON web token, like token based authentication system. You want to generate some random tokens with some encrypted data, so the tokens for authentication. Okay, so like multiple things will be there. So for all this extra functionality or advanced functionality, what we do is there is something called third party modules. Third party modules, what is third party modules means? For all these features, for example, for password encryption, there is a separate module called bcrypt.js. Okay, so these modules we are using in the final project also, so but I'm just explaining to you. And one more is JSON web token. JSON web token, this is for token based authentication system. And we use one more is gravatar, that is to get the image URL of a particular employee with email ID, images. And we also have .env. This is the module for to maintaining properties file. For example, if your application contains some credentials, right, some secret key, public key, private key, like that. So those keys and credentials like server address, like development server address, UAT address, production address, and database URLs. Okay, and some secret keys. For all this, we never hard code in the program. Okay, we never hard code inside a program those credentials, because if you hard code na, after some time they change the server address to something else, then what you do, you have to look into every file and you have to go and change it. No, instead, to maintain the credentials, we have one .env separate module. We will mention one .env file. In that, we'll keep all credentials. To maintain that type of scenario, we need this module. Okay, like that multiple. And we also have Express.js. That is also one third-party module. So where can we find all this? And even Stripe payments, PayPal payments. So payments means we won't write our own logic like, see, reverse string function takes a string and convert to string. Will you write a payments also like here? There is no library support for you. So you create everything from yourself. That will take some years to do that. Years to do that. Okay. But thing is, every simple application requires a payment. So then what to do? They will give you one library, and that library you have to import. Okay, sir, where can we find all these libraries? You can find all these libraries in the npm.js. This is the centralized repository for all the collection of JavaScript libraries. If you know something about Java, in Java there is something called Maven. Okay, Maven is a tool, Apache Maven is a tool which contains a repository of all the JavaScript related packages or modules or library. Just like that for Node.js or JavaScript, we have a centralized repository which contains all the modules is npm.js, which contains the um, which contain the free libraries and also paid libraries. So I just show you what is npm.js, then you understand how it is. Go to npm.js. This is the one. It is a JavaScript programming language subsidiary of GitHub, or is a part of GitHub. Okay, let me open this. Yeah, this is like a search engine of all libraries. You can search anything here. For example, JSON web token based authentication system. You search here. This is the one. Yeah. So you can install like this npm iJSON web token. There are some 48 lakhs downloads per week. Per week, 48 lakhs downloads. These many people are using this library, JSON web token library. And how to use this, how to install in your system, how to install with your Node.js application, and how to use. There are two functions mostly: sign function to create a token, and there is another function called verify function to decode the token back. Verify function. Two functions will be there. Okay, and Express. Express is very popular because everyone use Express server to create a Node.js server. So Express is most popular. See, this is Express. See, 1 crore 37 lakhs downloads per week. Express. It is one third-party module. Okay, you can create server like this. And let's talk about something called Mongoose. Mongoose is one schema-based library which is used to perform some database operations. Okay, Mongoose is having around 9 lakhs downloads per week. Okay, like this, there are some hundreds and lakhs of modules available. You can just have a search here. Okay, so now let's see how can we add those external library, because we know how to add OS module, HTTP module, right? Just like that, external module also how to incorporate into my application, this application, and how to call them, how to work with them. Okay, so if you know one module, you can do for all modules. Only thing is you just need to follow the official documentation of them. Okay, just follow documentation and you can do it. See how to connect to MongoDB is like this. Okay, so now let's start with the what third party modules. Okay, so first of all, I talk about one third party module, that is bcrypt.js. What is bcrypt.js is we can hash code the password. That plain password, you will encode the password and you will decode the password. If you decode, no, you will get the same password back. Okay, so let's see. But there is a rule. What is the rule is, before you install these packages in your application, you need to have one package.json. Every third party module you are using, you must need to have one important file, that is package.json file. Okay, and this package.json file contains all the information about third party modules and even the project related information. So I tell you how to create the package.json by ourselves, and how to install the modules and how to use the module. Okay, so first of all, I create a separate folder. So new directory 06 hyphen node.js hyphen npm modules hyphen bcrypt.js. Okay, bcrypt.js. So here I create one JavaScript app.js main file. Okay, so here how can I install the third party module is, before you install, you need to have one file, one configuration file for this project, that is package.json. How to create the package.json is, you can right click on this new package.json. You can do this way, but I don't prefer doing this right click new package.json, because only WebStorm we have this option. Maybe in VS Code we don't have this option. Okay, sir, how can we create the package.json using command line is, you just write the command called npm init hyphen hyphen yes. Okay, So with all the default values, let's create the package.json. Once it is done, you can happily install the packages. Okay. So this is the command to have a package.json. It's just like a user manual. Okay. So what are all the modules it depends on, this application depends on. Okay. So we'll see one by one package, and after some time we'll see all the packages together. Okay. I think mostly the major project will have, I think, more than 14 plus packages we use for server side. Okay. So as of now, just one module, that is bcrypt. So let's create the package.json. How to create is right click on this folder, open terminal. So just say npm init -s, enter. Command. So anyway, command line will work for any editor, right? Fine. So it's got a package.json default. Let's check my package.json, which contains name of the application, version, description. You can write yourself. Main file, my app.js. Script. Script means generally we run the program, right? Generally, um, what? How to run the Angular server? We just say npm start, right? Npm start, npm build, npm test. So these commands configuration also will be there here. As of now, we don't have server setup, so I don't want to do any scripts. Okay, and some keywords. What is the keyword you want to keep in a Google search? Those things. Who is the author and what is the license? Just like configuration information about your project. Okay, fine. And then once you have it, you will be installing the package. How to install the bcrypt.js is go to npmjs.com, and here you say bcrypt JS. And you should be very careful while typing the names, because there are multiple packages with the same name. So bcrypt is there, bcrypt JS is there, bcrypt salt is there, bcrypt some other name, bcrypto also there. These many. So you should be very careful with them. I use this one, bcrypt JS optimized, this one. Okay, I got bcrypt JS around some 7 lakhs downloads. Yeah, you can install that using this command. So let me click on this. Let me install this. How to install is go to terminal, npm. Okay, I tell you how to install the packages. Npm install and then the package name. Even shortcut is npm I also, you write, that is shortcut, even shortest. Npm I package name. So what is my package name? Bcrypt JS. This is my package name. So let me copy this. Go to here, paste it. Oh, I already made npm. Let's paste it. Enter. So this is going to download the complete library of bcrypt.js. Okay, OS module and all we don't need to download because it is available by default with Node. So only third-party modules you have to download. So we got latest version 2.4.3. You can cross check. Actually, it come by default 2.4.3 advanced version only. Fine. So now check. We got Node modules folder, just like Angular. We have Node modules folder, na? Like the third-party JavaScript libraries will come in this folder. So inside you can see the bcrypt.js, which contains a lot of JavaScript files and its configuration. Okay, bcrypt.js, which contains some multiple functions and long story. So this logic we don't need to write it; it is come out automatically for us. We just need to call them. Hash sync, hash code, how they will hash code. Okay, and hash callback salt. So too many functions are there. So we don't need to write these functions from scratch. We just call them. Okay, how? Let's see. We got where up to, okay, we got up to here. Okay, let's use the bcrypt.js. How to use the bcrypt.js is some functions available. You need to import like this, require keyword, and then you call the functions using like a salt, hash, compare, like these functions you do. Okay, anyway, it's 7:40. Fine. So we will continue this in the tomorrow's class. Okay, tomorrow we'll finish off all these modules, not except Stripe and Express. We'll see them in the last. So these four will finish by tomorrow, and then immediately we'll start the Node.js server. So Node.js server, how to create and how to respond to the multiple requests from the client and how to validate the request. Everything we'll see here. Okay, and then we'll see the routing in Node.js, and then we'll continue to Express.js, MongoDB long story. Fine, so that's it enough for today's class, and let's discuss this part in tomorrow's class. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.